Song That Got Me Through, and I'm your co-host, Anil Maharjan. This week, we spoke to our guest about two bands that many discuss in the same breath, Fall Out Boy and Dave Matthews. We also got a better appreciation for the things that our parents did for us as kids. As if that wasn't enough, you'll get bonus stories about Sarah turning down tickets to a Jonas Brothers concert, and the concerts that I ran in my church basement. If you want to be on the show, or find a playlist with all songs ever featured on the show, check out the link on our Instagram page and in the show notes. Or, if you have any questions, email us, thesongthatgotmethrough@gmail.com. Before we start the show, we want to point you to the title of the episode. Remember to call your mom or a mother-like figure in your life and tell them you appreciate the ridiculous stuff they do to make you happy. And now, enjoy the show. Hey Sarah, how's it going?
Hey Anil. Yeah, I'm kind of brain dead after the long weekend, but I'm hanging in there.
You know, I really wanted to ask you about this. Can you explain Idaho to me? I do, growing up on the East Coast, the only thing we knew about Idaho was something about potatoes. So can you tell me a little bit about Idaho?
Well, I don't know what makes you think that I'm the Idaho expert, but
I thought you were just there.
Yeah, because my friend decided to up and move there because she's a fan of potatoes, I suppose. No, my friend moved over there. Her boyfriend works in Spokane, so they just got a house in Coeur d'Alene, which is really pretty and has a nice big lake. So that's about the extent of my knowledge. So, that's one exciting thing that happened. I got to go out to restaurants. Everything's open over there.
Oh, okay. All right. I was gonna say what was the connection there, but okay, that is good. What restaurant did you go to? Someplace good?
Yeah, actually, we tried a couple different places, and I don't know if it's Idaho or just Coeur d'Alene, but every place we went was really good.
Oh, that sounds wonderful right about now.
Yeah.
I think our guest this week is still in the exact opposite situation. He is out of New York City, so needless to say, I don't think he's going to be going to any restaurants soon, but why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up? I'm Nick Bush. I'm from, I grew up in Greenbrook, New Jersey, which is in central Jersey, which I can confirm does exist. And right now, I currently live in Harlem, New York City. So for my job for the past 3 seasons, I have been working for the Major League Baseball Replay Center. So currently, right now, not really doing too much. I also have been doing stand-up comedy in New York for about the past year. And I also help produce a YouTube show called We Have a Show, which is a just crowdsourced variety show. So give that a watch when you get a chance.
That is a very creative name.
Yeah, it was a group effort on that one.
It's actually a pretty good show. I've been enjoying these last few episodes of We Have a Show, and it's crowdsourced too. So I need to contact you guys about recording something for that, because I think that would
Absolutely,
be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah, no, that I'm super excited for that. So, comedian, YouTube star, and an old friend. Can you tell us a little bit about the songs that you're going to be talking about this week?
Yeah, so it was a little tough for me to narrow it down to just one song, so I had to go with 2. One of them is going to be "Dead on Arrival" by Fall Out Boy, and then the second one, absolutely, yeah, and then the second one is going to be "Pig" by Dave Matthews Band.
Which we're going to have to debate about a little bit, because you have to teach me about Dave Matthews and the appeal of Dave Matthews once we get there.
Sure.
All right. So let's get the story started.
"Dead on Arrival" by Fall Out Boy. It's actually a song that I kind of rediscovered recently, right? A few months ago, I just kind of randomly saw the music video for the first time. I'd never seen that music video before. And it was just really a fun music video. It's one of your typical kind of tour footage videos, right? So you got all footage of them on the tour bus and going to all these shows. But this was back before they were really big. So it was kind of basement shows and stuff. So it really just made me nostalgic for, just kind of 2005, 2006 and those middle school, early high school years like that. It made me think of, Neil's former church house rock shows and things like that.
Oh God. Yeah. You've never mentioned those.
I'm glad I mentioned it now.
Oh my God. Sarah, I used to put on concerts in the basement of my church, and we spray painted a giant piece of fabric that said Church House Rock on it. So,
Oh,
They
Emil.
were
I'm
awesome.
glad that I know that story now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know how that one had never come up until now, but again, thank you, Nick.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I really first started listening to Fall Out Boy when, their big hit Sugar We're Going Down came out, so that led me to listen to that, entire From Under the Cork Tree album, which then led me to go back and listen to their first album, Take This to Your Grave, which Dead on Arrival is on. And it's just, I really just, I don't know, like fell in love with Fall Out Boy right away. I really became infatuated with them. For us, like our dad is a big Bruce Springsteen fan, and like he kind of raised us on classic rock, right? So then, me hearing Fall Out Boy, it kind of was like, the first band that like I liked that was like my own thing, like a band that was my own. And then for me too, like a big thing with like, songs and musicians and bands that I like involves like the lyrics, like if there's a song that I like, I'm gonna, learn the lyrics by, listening to that song a bunch of times, or, I'm gonna like look it up in like the little CD booklet, or I'm gonna look it up online, like I want to know those lyrics, right? So, and going back, songs that I do like, well, I'll find something in the lyrics, that's like a personal thing for me that I can kind of like grasp onto, right? So Dead on Arrival is the chorus for me, with the line, the songs you grow to like never stick at first, so I'm writing you a chorus and here's your verse. For me, I really kind of grasped onto that as just like a thing that's like, no one really likes change, but like it's essential to life and you just got to like, plow through it anyway,
Oh my God. Even when you were saying those verses, I was like singing the little hook in my head. Like,
oh no, yeah, me too.
No way.
Yeah, no, me too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that I have the same thing, but more along the lines of Green Day. That's a really good point. Like the first band that you liked that was not your parents' band, like it wasn't the stuff your parents were listening to. Because I also grew up on a ton of Springsteen and grew up more also on Billy Joel and Elton John. But like Green Day for me was that first band that like, quote unquote, my parents didn't understand. I mean, my mom definitely knew Time of Your Life, but it most of their other stuff she did not know, and I was definitely not listening to the stuff my dad listened to.
Yeah, no, yeah. And then just kind of the second half of this, Fall Out Boy story is that, again, Fall Out Boy being the first real band that I liked and could call my own. Also, Fall Out Boy was like my first real concert, right? As opposed to your, church house rock shows. Like I got to shout out my dad, Craig Bush, here, because this was a pretty cool thing he did for us back in the day. But he got us tickets to go see Fall Out Boy on their Dark Clouds and Underdogs tour at the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania in May of 2006.
Wow.
And I looked this up today. It was on a Wednesday night, right? So this was a school night. So, we drive out to Hershey, that afternoon. We get there.
And for people not from the East Coast, that's a decent drive.
Yeah, it's
that's
like an hour 45, 2 hours from us. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying. I had no idea.
Yeah, everyone knows. Everyone knows that Hershey, Pennsylvania is an hour 45 minutes from Greenbrook, New Jersey. Just everybody. Just like how I thought that Coeur d'Alene was 4 hours from Spokane. Or not Spokane, Tacoma. It's just that common knowledge that everyone has.
Yeah. Come on, you know geography.
Yeah.
So, we drive out there, after school, we get there, we go to the concert, and, it was amazing. They played like a great song. They played Dead on Arrival. They played, a bunch of other songs that I loved. And then, we stayed in a hotel that night, and then, we woke up super early and just drove and, got back to school on time for the next day. So it was a pretty fun couple of hours there.
Your dad made you go to school the next day?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Come on. We weren't going to miss any school time for this. Not on Craig Bush's watch.
Do you know who was opening that show?
Oh, yeah. It was actually like a really good show. They had from first to last Hawthorne Heights and All American Rejects as well as Fall Out Boy.
Oh, my God. 13, 14-year-old me, my heart is like melting right now.
Yeah, no, I was in heaven. It was so fun. I don't know how much fun Craig Bush and Chris Bush had, but I was having fun.
And when I was younger, like I made my mom bring me to a bunch of concerts too. And my all-time favorite memory was my mom brought me to a concert at Maxwell's in Hoboken. It's this really, really small, famous club. And I went to see the Kaiser Chiefs, and this was like on their first album before they got really big. And the lead singer came off the stage, took the hands of a man standing next to us and started clapping them, and spilled an entire beer on my mother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She still to this, this must have been close to 12, 13, 14 years ago. She still to this day reminds me about that.
I mean, yeah, she should.
Yeah, rightfully so. Yeah. Rightfully so. Wait, Sarah, did you drag your parents to any concerts when you were a teenager?
No, actually the opposite. I've actually never been to a concert with my parents, but
what?
Yeah. I've been like, my friends' parents have taken me to concerts, but there was one time I was in Vancouver with my dad, and he managed to get us tickets to go to a Jonas Brothers concert. And I didn't like the Jonas Brothers. And so I said I didn't want to go, like a huge brat. I was just like, no, Dad, I don't want to go. I was like in 8th or 9th grade, and I just didn't want anything to do with it. And he was like, oh, okay. And now when I think about it, now I just feel so bad. So thank you for reminding me of that.
I'm sorry. If it makes you feel any better about the things we did when we were teenagers, my sister and I used to go to a lot of concerts together, and my mom would sit in the parking lot. Like, she would drive us an hour away, an hour and a half away, and then sit in the car for like 4 hours. So
that's really nice. Well, I need to go apologize to my parents tonight.
That is pretty nice.
I need to call my mom tonight as well.
All right. Everyone listening to this should call their mother, after listening.
Yeah, I think we should make that a PSA on all episodes, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
All right. So I loved that first story because it reminds me so much of my teenagers, and also having the privilege of knowing Craig Bush. I can just imagine him doing 80 miles an hour on the highway to make sure you got to school the next day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the lasting images that I have from that concert is, at one point I went to go to the bathroom, and I'm coming back up to our seats, and just seeing, all these kids with mohawks and just ear piercings and all these tattoos and all these stuff, and then just seeing my dad with his sweater vest and tie. He still probably had his work badge on from work,
Oh God, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So I know that this was that was kind of the part one. I'm very interested to know about part two, because I actually, as long as I've known you, I actually didn't know you were a Fall Out Boy fan, but I knew you were a fan of the second band.
Well, because it's interesting. It's I've always kind of considered Fall Out Boy to be kind of my guilty pleasure, or just something that it's I don't necessarily want people to know that I love as much as I do, but at this point I don't really care. I love Fall Out Boy; they're great,
No need to be ashamed. No.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so moving on to the good old Dave Matthews Band. So, I started listening to Fall Out Boy in, kind of late middle school, and then, pretty much all through high school. That's where my musical taste lied, and the kind of the punk pop, punk rock, all that sort of genre. So freshman year, I attended Kutztown University, which is in Kutztown, Pennsylvania, which for everyone who doesn't know, that's pretty much just Amish country, Pennsylvania.
I like how you keep pointing out these places do exist for everything.
Yeah.
Kutztown does sound made up, and Kutztown is also a place that even if you live in New Jersey, you don't even know that exists in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so at Kutztown, my freshman year roommate was this kid by the name of Ivan, who he was actually like a very cool dude, and we hit it off right away, just became friends. And he was actually a very big Dave Matthews Band fan, and he introduced me to them. He was the type of kid who had, he just had all of their studio albums. He had, tons of the live albums. He had a bunch of like, bootleg recordings from shows. So like he just shared all of this music with me. So I just like became inundated with just like hours and hours and hours of just Dave Matthews Band music. And
that sounds more like a nightmare to me than...
to some it might be. But for me, it's like I heard Dave Matthews Band, and it's just really, I know this is kind of cliche, but it's like they sounded like something I never really heard before. Like I didn't really listen to bands like this. I didn't really listen to jam bands. I didn't really hear bands using violins like they do. I didn't really hear bands using horns like they did, because I'm also a little bit of a ska guy. I only really knew ska horns, but then here we have these like, jazz influenced horns going on. So now the story is going to take a little bit of a sadder turn here, because also in the beginning of my freshman year at Kutztown, my grandmother passed away, right?
Yeah.
And it happened, like she got sick very quickly, and it just, happened very quickly. And then, she was gone like very fast. And, being at school in Pennsylvania, I didn't really get to come home. Like I didn't really get my chance to say like goodbye to her necessarily. So then also around this time, we're following the DMB tour, and they're going to be playing at Madison Square Garden coming up, right? So we're like, oh, like that's awesome. We totally got to go to this. So, me and Yvonne, we decided to go. We get a couple of other friends to come along. So the way it turned out was that, the week of that concert was when my grandmother passed away. And then the concert was going to be on a Friday night. And then, her funeral was going to be that Saturday, right? Just the day after. So, my friends were a little worried. They didn't know if we were going to go or not. And I was like, no, like we're still going to go to the concert. Like, don't worry. But, we originally had planned on kind of like, spending the weekend in Jersey, and like hanging out there. But then it was like, all right, well now like, we're going to go to the concert, and then like you guys are going to have to like head back to Kutztown because I have to deal with, this other stuff. But like one of the best pieces of advice that Yvonne gave me, right, going to this concert on the Friday and then having, my grandmother's funeral the next morning, he just told me, he was like, Nick, like, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, Nick, like, just have fun tonight, feel all of your fun, tonight. And then just tomorrow, like, let out all of your sadness, like just don't even think about it tonight. Just have fun tonight, and then just save all that for tomorrow. And like, that's what I did. I just really like pushed it out of my mind at the concert, and just, took in the music, took in the band for what it was. And then just, the next morning, just kind of flipped that switch. So now more on to specifically the song Pig. In the kind of folklore of Dave Matthews Band, the song
quick
Pig,
question for you, because I know that a lot of Dave Matthews Band's fans, that's a mouthful, have like have a count of how many times they've seen them. In the context of the number of times you've seen him, the MSG show, what do you know about what number that was?
Oh, that was my first. The MSG show was my first. And I've
so
been to 24 in total. Yeah, no, I've never seen him before. Like that was the first concert, because it was like pretty much like, I moved into Kutztown in like late August, and, I got introduced to Dave Matthews Band then. And then I think the concert was like late September,
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And you said you're now on 24?
24, yeah. I was planning on adding to that this summer, but,
You've seen them 24 times?
Yep.
Wow. I'm kind of on Neil's side where he's like, please explain this to me. Because it's like, is it not kind of like a cult following a little bit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely kind of like, it's like cult, like niche following. I mean, like for me, like I said before, it's just kind of like I never really heard, music like this. I was just into like, the punk rock songs that are like 2.5 minutes long, and just, just a couple of like chord progressions, right? But then hearing the Dave Matthews Band, like just all these different instruments being blended together, and like, jamming for like 8 minutes, and, stuff like that. It was just a totally new kind of, music for me to take in.
Yeah.
But is it different all 24 times? And I'm sorry, we'll let you get to talking about Pig, but like, is it really different all 24 times?
I mean, like, obviously, like I've had some shows that I didn't like as much as others. And, obviously there's songs that I've heard, way more times than I would have liked to have heard live. But for me, you do get like something different in each show. You're not going to go to show and be like, oh, wow, that one was like just like that other show I saw Dave Matthews Band play. they're going to be doing something different. They're going to like throw in a song that you like weren't expecting them to play. They're going to, kind of jam in like, a different way that has like, some different melodies in it, So it is different, but I honestly, like, I get all this, kind of negative energy towards Dave Matthews Band. Like I understand
it. Makes me feel better. I'm a Nickelback fan, so I have no room to talk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if you're probably the first Nickelback fan I've met.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yet they also have a pretty big following.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say a lot of our questioning is 2 weeks ago. We spoke to someone about EDM, and I had a lot of questions about why they liked EDM, and so this is kind of these feelings are a holdover from that.
Right.
So okay, you've justified your 24 times. Can you tell us a little bit about the song "Pig"?
Right. Yeah. So, in the kind of folklore of Dave Matthews Band, the song "Pig" developed from this unreleased song that he used to play like way back in their early days, and it was called "Don't Burn the Pig." And Dave wrote this song based on like the story goes in Dave Matthews fandom that he saw this BBC documentary about scientists just burning pigs and just testing to see how like they felt pain or something like that. So he decided to make this song entitled "Don't Burn the Pig" because like that's kind of messed up. Why would you do that to pigs? But then in their, I believe it was their second studio album, Before These Crowded Streets, they, recorded it for a studio version, and it just kind of changed to just Pig. And it kind of took on this new kind of meaning, with like kind of like expanded verses, an expanded chorus, to just kind of be this kind of like carpe diem thing, which also like, at the time of, being a freshman in college, having this, difficult situation of my grandmother passing. And also like, I didn't necessarily like Kutztown, I didn't really feel like it was the college for me, like I wasn't really comfortable there either. So, the combination of all those things, it's like, I just wanted to listen to kind of like the more like happy vibes of Dave Matthews Band and like, hear those, kind of that vibe in my music,
Yeah. Is Dave Matthews a vegan?
I have no idea. I mean,
okay,
maybe.
Sorry. That just when you said that he was so impacted by the BBC documentary, I was like, yeah.
So now also like Pig is a rare song for them to play live. So I didn't even hear it live until my 16th Dave Matthews Band show.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was all the way at the Encore. It's actually a pretty funny story. It's a quick one. So this was a concert that we went to. I went with my brother Chris, and we also went with one of our friends, Jake, who is another big Dave Matthews Band fan. So, we're out in the lawn at like Camden, like the Camden Amphitheater. I don't know what it's called these days.
That's in New Jersey as well.
Yeah, that's in New Jersey. It's like right across the river from Philadelphia. But it's like a big amphitheater with like a lawn and stuff. So we're like out in the lawn, and they come out for the encore, and they play the first encore song. And, our friend Jake, he kind of looks over at me and just jokingly says like, "All right, so now Pig, right?" And then they just start playing Pig, like just right then and there. And because it has like that kind of recognizable violin riff in the beginning, so it's like, I just heard that and just, oh my God, like Pig's happening. This is amazing.
No, that is so awesome when you see a band and they play like a really deep cut, because you feel like you're just witnessing something like ultra special.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh.
And now it makes sense why you say that every single one you've been to is a bit different, because if it took 16 times to hear that song for you, I get it.
Yeah. And because like, we had like, I had this big pink poster board. I drew a big pig on it. I'd bring that with me to all the shows, when they came out, I would like hold it up,
Oh, so finally they were like, wow, that guy has come to 16 shows with that same poster. We might as well finally play it for him.
I mean, I don't know if I was the reason they played it. I mean, because I was in the lawn that show, so I don't know if they exactly saw the sign. But
no, they specifically said, "Thanks, Nick. We've been thinking about playing this one for a couple weeks now, and you really inspired us."
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this: seeing a band 24 times is obviously a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My wrap-up question is, can you make a pitch for Dave Matthews and why I should listen to him for the band?
All right. Yeah. it's just a lot of the songs have a really good message. It's like a lot about peace and love and just living life to the fullest. And that's something we can all get on board with, right? And I don't know, man. I just like the jam. I like how they flow as musicians all together, and they'll throw in a different intro to this one song one time, or they're like play this one a little slower this time, or they'll play this one and they'll like cut off like the last reprise, and then they'll save that for the encore, stuff like that. I like bands that really kind of like work on their set list when they're playing live, and it's not just like, here's our printed out set list for the tour, like that's what it's going to be every time, so I like seeing that kind of like personality on stage.
And are you also into like Grateful Dead and Fish, or is it specifically Dave Matthews?
No, I like, pretty much all the jam bands. I'm definitely more into Grateful Dead than Fish, but I like all that stuff.
And where does OAR fit in here?
I do like OAR. I really haven't listened to them in a long time. Like I listened to them back in college with, my man Yvonne. He also listened to OAR. But yeah, I haven't really listened to them in a while.
Well, thank God we're out of time, because that is all the jam bands that I have any knowledge on. But yeah, Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Sarah, thank you so much for telling us about Idaho.
Yep, and my Jonas Brothers concert. Yeah.
Oh my God. I've got some serious questions about that later on as well.
It's been a pleasure, guys. I've really enjoyed being on your pod.
Yeah. It's catching on, Sarah. It's catching on. I'm glad you started
really
that.
Happy about it.
And one last pitch. Everyone should go check out We Have a Show on YouTube. I think, as the cool kids say, like and subscribe. You should also like and subscribe to this podcast too, but theirs is even better. All right. Thanks, Nick. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
This episode was edited by me, Anil Maharjan. My co-host is Sarah Harrison. Additional editing and mixing was done by Chris Maffei at Multitrack Minds. You can check out their full line of services at multitrackminds.com. Special thanks this week to Nick for telling his story. If you want to check out his YouTube project, there's a link in our show notes. You can also search for We Have a Show. One clarification on the topic of Church House Rock: my sister Tara was the one who made the banner and did most of the work on the waffle belt, so I need to give credit where credit is due. Finally, if you're interested in being on our show, submit the form on our Instagram page or email us, thesongthatgotmethrough@gmail.com. Till next time, don't lose touch. Glad we finally got to tell the world about Church House Rock.
Yes,
I think that was a really...
Shout out to the Waffle Stompers.
Oh my God. Okay, wait, last story for me here. During the final Church House Rock we ever did, the Waffle Stompers, which I think we spoke about in a really early episode, they were playing. Before their set, we stopped everything, brought out folding tables, and had a waffle eating contest in the middle of the church basement. And the dude who won that won a waffle belt, which was my sister and I bought a WWE wrestling championship belt, made a waffle out of Play-Doh, somehow dried it out and glued it onto the belt. And I'm still friends with that guy on Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. It was good times, Doc. That was as goofy as it is, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, those are great shows.